Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Joey's Movie Blog podcast. I'm your host, Joey Strandberg, and I am joined by my co host, Frederick Lopez, to discuss Last of Us Episode 4.
Ooh, it was an exciting episode. We have the focus back on Joel and Ellie, but also we were discussing this last week, like despite the deviations, were they going to like pay homage to the video game in different areas? We kind of saw a little bit of that in this episode. We're also introduced to some new characters, new, I guess, antagonists possibly that were not in the video game. They're similar to the Pittsburgh Hunters, but I like it. We get some human threats in this episode. We dealt with the infected, we dealt with Fedra. Now we get to see what else lurks in this world of survival in The Last of Us.
We begin this episode in with Ellie kind of doing a Travis Bickle thing with the gun she stole with Bill from Bill and Frank's place. And she's just very infatuated with the gun.
Absolutely. Like she totally is. Like even from the moment she like grabbed it, seeing all the weapons to like it's just kind of great seeing her like practicing with the gun, like looking in the mirror and stuff, but then I don't know, just that fascination with the gun also allows a moment for her and Joel to become closer. Like he's showing her later in the episode how to use it correctly and stuff. It's like that's not how you hold a gun. This is how you hold it.
Yeah. And then we cut to her leaving and Joel siphoning gas. Now, one thing that has always bothered me in post apocalyptic movies that take place years and years is how gas still works after
I know
many.
like Mad Max, it's like it could be 20 to 40 years after the world ended. Gasoline's still good. This one, I love it where Joel's just siphoning the gas. He's like, I don't know how it works. It just works. And he's just like
Yeah.
explaining to Ellie, like, it's diluted basically. Like, one tank of this used to make us drive like 12 hours or whatever. It's like, we can't do that anymore. And I love that. That just adds to the reality of this world and how scarce everything is. And I haven't seen any other post apocalyptic show or film deal with that.
I mean, Fear the Walking Dead did it, but it was it was not very well handled.
I think what added to it here too is that like Joel and Ellie actually have to be somewhere. He has to find a truck, so like it's a necessity for their mission so far. And I love that detail, and I love seeing like all the dilapidated vehicles. They're just like discolored, and like wildlife was just growing on them, and you could tell they've been abandoned for decades, really.
And we finally got the joke book
Oh
in
yes, with the puns. I
uh,
love that. Just like the gun, that was another tool that really helped the story, bringing Joel and Ellie closer together. There is so many great moments of that pun book in this episode.
yeah, they it was just I love Bella Ramsey's um delivery of all the jokes and Pedro Pascal just trying to ignore all of it.
I
And it's just hilarious seeing him try to play this stern dad.
Absolutely, like even down to like, don't wander off. It's like, well, okay, if I'm not going to wander off, let me read this pun book. And then it's just like, after a while, it's just like, just go wait in the truck while I do this. Just go wait in the truck. And that kind of helps break his shell throughout the episode too. Like Joel's shell, like that's like getting through the armor there that he has after everything that's happened earlier on that we saw in the first episode, and then the events of this world.
And then we get into the truck and we get the infamous gay magazine scene.
It was so weird seeing that scene play out without Bill, but I'm so happy that they like that and the actual road trip that they paid homage to the video game. That was just so cool seeing that. I'm like, okay, there it is. That's what they did. It's like they got it from the game, but then they put it into a different area, and that's cool. That's like an adaptation of a novel. You know, sometimes you see book adaptations, like video game adaptations. Sometimes they don't follow the source material, but then other times you see a similar scene or a word of dialogue used but like in a different area than it was in the source, and that's what they did here. And I love that they did that whole sequence, and the way the comedic timing was in this episode. The editing was just done very well for like this like first portion of the episode between Joel and Ellie like traveling. But yeah, I love that with the magazine and everything. Like that was just, it was surreal, you know, for us who've played the video game. Just it was kind of surreal seeing that moment. It was like, oh whoa, this is, I've seen this before, but like this is just like, wow, I didn't think I would see it in live action. Again, it's like one of those kind of pinch me moments of The Last of Us where you're just, you see stuff that deviates, and then there are times that you see stuff that's straight from the video game, and that's just wonderful. It's wonderful that this show can find a balance, you know. Unlike many shows where it still has the core essence of The Last of Us that gives us moments that we didn't know we needed that are different from the video game, but then also moments that are just straight from the video game.
And one thing about this episode is it's just very grin inducing for me. Like
Yeah,
I
sad.
I smiled the entire time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. As sad as the world is, like even though it's like very grim for Joel and Ellie in this world, there are just moments that are just like, oh wow, that this it was like this is The Last of Us, you know? And this is the episode where I would say episode 3 started it with the show kind of creating its own identity, like away from the video game. This continues that, but then it also it kind of allows Joel and Ellie to finally warm up to each other. And now I'm like, okay, this is Joel and Ellie. And I thought they were great in the episodes before. All the episodes have been great so far. But like this is the one where I was really feeling the Joel and Ellie dynamic that I felt like playing the video games finally like on the live action spectrum with this show.
And I don't know, like I see a lot of people like last week's episode they're calling it filler for some reason. And
I felt that way initially until like somebody brought up the love hate message and how different it still got the same point across, but in a different way. I can see where they're saying that as far as like Joel and Ellie, but we were talking about this last week with last week's episode. Thematically, it's still tied into Joel as a character, and you know, saving that one person the way that uh Bill saved Frank, or in essence, Frank kind of saved Bill in many ways. This is going to be like that with Joel and Ellie. And once somebody brought that up, it's like, okay, I can take a step back and just kind of separate myself from like what I wanted to see from the video game to like the TV show. And then I'm like, okay, I see what they're doing. And I think that's also a testament to the writers. Like, I know people might be apprehensive about change at first, but I think they're going to feel better about the episode and the thematic material from that episode and these episodes once the story is all put together. Again, that's just like an adaptation. And I was like, they still, I mean, yeah, it was different. I would have loved to see the bloater and other stuff, but like they put some of the stuff that we were missing last week into this week's episode. And then by getting the same point across, as far as Bill being an example for Joel, it was just done in a different way. But I still think that they understood the core essence of The Last of Us and still got the same point across in the story, despite the changes. And yeah, it's interesting. I felt that way of it being kind of like a filler at first, but then that like many people brought up excellent examples, and then it's like I started to think about it a different way. I'm like, you know what? I think myself and many others will feel better about it once the complete story is done. In many ways, it's crazy because like even though like Joel and Ellie weren't the main focus, even though they're in the episode, this one kind of had a little bit of slow moments too before it started building up again in many ways.
yeah.
It's strange. It's like, but you know, in the Last of Us world, I feel like all of this is not only adding to the greater themes thematically of the entire story of Joel and Ellie, and the greater theme of The Last of Us being the last of the human race and whether people can love. What's the difference between living versus surviving? You know, themes that we see in the game, but also like, what was I going to say on that? I feel like they're going to see, I think it's going to make more sense and not be as much filler once we see how everything is. It's kind of hard to gauge right now because we're only 4 episodes in. I'm like, it depends how they adapt the rest of it. And I think once they do, and we see how the story is completed with the other characters and their stories, I feel like people may feel better about it.
Yeah, but like I don't really understand like how this episode is apparently filler because like and
Yeah.
I think this episode uh is very important to the relationship of
Oh
Joel
yeah.
and Ellie.
Yeah, as far as like pacing is what I meant, but like no, definitely it's much needed pacing because like it's easy to feel a certain way about like a weekly episode, but it's like what they're doing is building. This is like a bridge for the next episode. They're building a lot of things for not only next episode but the rest of the episodes for the season. But yeah, definitely, I love the relationship that Joel and Ellie have here, and even down to seeing them camp like we get that whole road trip, the comedic timing with her saying, like, I'm not going to fall asleep or whatever. And then you just get to her just knocked out in the truck. Like, I just love the little moments like that in this episode. And it's crazy. Like, The Last of Us is one of those where sometimes I want it to progress more, but that's also a testament to how good it is. You get to the end of the episode and you're like, I can't believe it ended there. I want more. And I think this
Yeah.
this series is going to make such a fantastic binge once like the first video game is adapted, and even the second to a degree. I think it's going to make a fantastic binge on repeated viewings, to say the least. And this episode actually got a lot done. Like, it doesn't feel like it, but it got a lot done. We got like the Bill and Frank aftermath. They were traveling and going with the gas. I thought it was really cool how they showed that they don't want to make a fire when they're camping. They find like some woods. After a while, there's like, that's enough driving. Joel just finds like some woods to just drive the truck through, and they just use like a battery operated lantern. They don't show them making a wildfire. It's like, I don't want to have any smoke or anybody come and try to like kill us, or take our stuff. And that was kind of cool. I like that. You don't really see that in other post apocalyptic shows.
Yeah, like normally it's like we have to build a campfire, but here it's like they're using lanterns and one of those campfire or the it's like the camping stoves.
Yeah, camping stoves, and then they had this. I did love the sleeping bag reference. Like, this must have been Frank's or whatever. Is like scented.
Yeah. And
I love that.
then they're eating 20-year-old cans of Chef Boyardee.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's where food preservatives come in handy. Is like if you're gonna have like food, I don't know. I can't even imagine like that's such a. I mean, we take stuff for granted in our current time with food and everything, and access, like easy access. I'm like, I can't even imagine.
Yeah.
Like, to them, Chef Boyardee is like a delicacy, and it's 20-year-old Chef Boyardee at that. It's not even like fresh Chef Boyardee. That shows you how much Bill had like stocked up those 20 years. That like in his place, like he was fully stocked.
Yeah, I mean, he was pretty much ready to uh keep that place going for many years.
I guess it helps too when like you're the only inhabitant of a town and like you're the only person shopping at like a giant like hardware and grocery store. So it's like, yeah, he didn't have to worry about anybody for a while.
And even like one of the sparks I noticed is like Joel is so paranoid about keeping Ellie safe that he like doesn't even sleep that night and just keeps guard with his gun.
Yeah, he was like the Terminator in this episode in many ways. Like, he just made sure Ellie went to sleep, got up, and he's just like patrolling the area, making sure they're not jumped in. We're jumping ahead, but there's a part where he like breaks glass, later. And even then, he's like in protector mode. Like, he's always just kind of like on edge about that sort of thing. But yeah, he definitely didn't get sleep, which probably is why he was making coffee. In the next scene, we get that funny banter between Ellie and Joel with the morning cup of Joe there with the coffee. He's like, "What is this shit?" And I just love her reaction to seeing coffee being like boiled for the first time.
Yeah, and it's it's a good thing that Bill and Frank had coffee because I don't know what I'd do without coffee in an apocalypse.
I don't know. I don't know what do people do? Like drink oil or gasoline? I'm trying to think. There is like that motor oil stuff they drank in like the Matrix. I don't know what they had in Mad Max. It's just whatever you could find, I guess. Dog food and other things, but like yeah, coffee. Like thank God they had coffee. Like they were prepared. Like they really helped out Joel and Ellie for the most part here in this episode. And I love the slow buildup because it adds more to when they're trying to get to their destination, and that's when stuff starts to get really heavy in this episode. I love that this show takes moments to breathe. It's not like let's just rush to the action, action, action. It like takes moments to develop the characters, but I think because they take a moment when stuff does go down, it's even more exhilarating in a way. I'm always on this show. I don't know about you. I've been on the edge of my seat when there's like action, like
I
just like
have.
and I know what happens in the story, but still, it's like, are they gonna make it? Like, I don't know. Like, I'm always tense, and that's strange because like we've played the game, but like I just have that feeling where I'm just like, this is intense. How are they gonna get out of this one?
Yeah, and then we arrive in Kansas City, where we get the uh we get some build up with like shots of burning bodies and all that, and then we get the infamous he ain't even hurt scene.
I love that. And again, like adaptations, like they moved it from Pittsburgh to Kansas City, but they still got all the same beats as the video game and they still progressed the story in the same way. I love that they recreated that moment. It's like fasten your seatbelt. Why? It's like he's not even hurt. And then they just drives. That whole scene was just great with that whole shootout. That was totally just like the video game. And yeah, after that, the guy's just like, what? He wasn't expecting like Joel to drive his truck almost through him. He's just like, what? What's this guy doing? And what's scary is right before that scene, we see that like Fedra's not even there. So it's like, whoa, what the heck happened here in this city? Like something's up.
Yeah.
The guys from the pilot are not in this city. Oh, what's going on?
No.
And then you get that scene where he like drives, the guy moves, but then you have people like on the what is it, the alleyway, like scaffold at the stairs in the alleyway, just throwing bricks, and Joel's truck gets hit. And you have that crazy scene where all these people start coming out of the woodwork, and he's like driving through, and then he drives through like the glass of the building into like I think was it a laundromat or something they end up crashing into.
Yep, a laundromat, and
Yeah,
we
and it
get
gets insane. Like there's a
yeah,
giant shootout.
yeah, and it's like I was just on the edge of my seat, and one change I really liked was how like Joel had Ellie go through like that uh little
It's like a
space in the wall.
Yeah, it was like a hole in the wall to like the next buildings. Like you're small enough to fit through there. Go through there when I tell you to. And they're like waiting for them, all of them, to like shoot. That was such a realistic shootout. I mean, I don't know. It depends because like there's always cover in video games, but I'm guilty of this, and I know many other video game players are. That sometimes you just get up and think you're like John Wick and you just go there with no cover, just take it out. But like, I love how he was like waiting and it was like realistic to where they were just wasting bullets, but then hiding behind cover until there's like a moment to like, okay, Ellie, go now. And then he takes like one of the guys, but like that whole sequence was just so well done. And it introduces you to these new characters as well, very well.
Yeah, we get the scene where Joel is struggling with one guy, and then Ellie takes the gun where Bill and that she took from Bill and Frank, and shot the guy in the back.
Yeah, and then it's crazy because then that guy was like begging. My name's what was his name? Like my name's Phil. I don't know,
Brian.
Ryan. My name's
I
Ryan.
have
Please.
the I'm
Oh, you have
reading
to.
off the Wikipedia article to
Oh,
as
that's
kind
what
of
I.
my notes.
I'm glad you did that. I should have done that because like sometimes there's so much that happens that you try to process everything. That's another reason why we need to like do our stream next week instead of right after. Even though I thought about doing it right after, I'm like, no, we need to like take some time to like reassess and just like just digest the episode. But yeah, Ryan, he was just like, please don't hurt me, please. My mom, she knows. He's just like panicking, and then Joel. it shows you how cold-blooded he has become since the loss of his daughter and then being in this world for 20 years. Like, Ellie, go wait back. Just go over the wall. Just wait. Don't look at this. You think he's gonna shoot him, and I think he like stabs him or something with that
Yeah,
knife.
because yeah, because like he offers him like this really cool hunting knife and
Yeah.
just stabs him with it off screen.
That the violence felt more intense that way. That the fact that they didn't show it, because your mind just kind of filled up. It's like a horror movie where your mind just kind of fills in something worse. You just hear it. It's like you don't have to see it, but it's just like it made it feel so intense there. And that
Mm,
was a perfect introduction to these new characters. What did you think about the leader? Uh,
I am really interested in Melanie Linsky's character. We get introduced to them by her interrogating a doctor, and they're looking for Henry.
yeah, that whole scene was just so intense, and she's a great actress. Like I loved her in Yellow Jackets, and she was Charlie's stalker in Two and a Half Men. Very different role here, but like I love it where the doctor's just like, "I delivered you when you were a baby," and she's just like, "Well, tell me where Henry is, or I'm going to shoot you in the head. You don't think I'll do it? I'll do it." And like immediately you're like, "Oh well, we're dealing with a very different type of individual here," and I like this because it adds like another human antagonist. Outside of Fedra, outside the infected, we now get these new characters. And with her is also I forgot the actor's name. Tommy
Jeffrey
from the
Pierce.
yeah,
Yeah.
Tommy from the original game plays a new character added as well. These are two new characters that were not in the game, I don't think. And I love that introduction. I just it just felt intense. We're just like, okay, what are they after? They must have been bad news that they drove Fedra out. Like, eh, she's just like interrogating them there, and then that's where we're introduced to like the rest of the group, and then they say that like, oh, these men were hurt or whatever, killed. They were killed, and they think that Joel and Ellie are like mercenaries that Henry hired that are in
Yeah,
there.
because Henry uh, has a radio,
Mhm.
which I assume it's so he could kind of listen in on what they're doing as they're trying to make their way out of the city or something.
Yeah. And I just love that where she's like, we're gonna hunt them down, no mercy, just kill anybody you see. And then you just see her go back, just walk back, just pacing there, open the door, and off screen, another off screen death. She just shoots that doctor. Just like, wow.
She's ruthless.
I know, like immediately when this with this introduction, they show you who exactly they're gonna be dealing with on this show.
And we get to see like the raiders kind of like they're just ruthlessly going through the streets. They have the battering ram and just kicking down doors uh, uh and then we get the great scene where Joel and Ellie are hiding out in that abandoned building, and it's my favorite scene of the episode where uh it's like they're talking about Joel's like apologizing to Ellie that she had to do that, and then Ellie just says that it wasn't her first time, which she's definitely referring to Riley.
Yes. That was such a great scene. We not only get to learn more about Ellie, but that's a great moment with Joel and Ellie to connect. Like, I love him just like teaching her how to properly use the firearm. Like, don't hold it with one hand. Of course, Fedra training school like told you that, like both hands. And he's like showing like if somebody tries to take it, they're not going to be able to take it because he's like holding it with both hands. That was such a great scene there between them two. Like this episode is just filled with a bunch of moments like that, but that one was just definitely. I agree. That was like one of my favorites as well. Like I love that, and it makes me curious to see what else we're gonna see, like flashback wise or coming up, like from the video game. What are we gonna see? I would love to see more of that story. I think we will. And yeah, they were just ruthless, those people. And it's crazy because, like, what was it? I think it was already on the building, the newspapers. They were like, the windows were covered with like newspapers, like old newspapers. And then that's when they have to get a better view, I think. It's just like they have to go through and go like through the stairs, like in the back way. and they have to find like a taller building or somewhere where they can scope it out and see where it's safe to travel, just push
Yeah.
through the city.
It, and then we get Kathleen kind of going through the where Sam and Henry hid out, and then we get kind of hints uh, of what I'm assuming is going to be the bloater.
Yeah. I was wondering about that because there's one creature that they didn't show in the last episode, but I'm like, are they going to repurpose it? And that was such a brilliant tease because you're like, if somebody's never played the game, they're like, what is that? They see like the cement that's just kind of dragged, but then like the ground starts to shake like something's underneath there. And they're like, one problem at a time. Just close the door and ignore it. We don't need to tell people about this. Maybe they should have. I think that's going to pose a problem next week.
Yeah.
But
Especially, I got a feeling with how it's going to play out next week. And I didn't mention that we actually see the iconic truck, which I fucking hate in the video game.
oh yes, yes, they showed that. We'll see if it's as hard for them as it was for us playing the game.
Yeah.
But that was such a great tease because it's just like, are they going to show it in this episode? I wasn't sure, but I was like, that's nuts. What the heck is that?
I like how they're using the infected because I saw a post from a very popular figure in the political talk show host sphere talking about how there's barely any zombies.
Oh gosh, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, okay, yeah. Um, this is about more than just the zombies, but also we're gonna get them. Like, don't worry. Like, there's episodes of downtime, but I think we're gonna get them. Like, honestly, do like if it follows the game like it's been following, even with minor deviations, we're gonna get them.
See,
And
I'd rather have episodes that build up to something and
yes,
then just give us a nice slam bang and
yeah,
make and like because like that may it might like with like Game of Thrones for example, like the action scenes in Game of Thrones wouldn't have been as good if they hadn't taken the time to make us care about the characters and build up all the conflict. And even like Andor
yes.
uh with like episodes 4, 5, and 6, they take the time to introduce us to this group of rebels on this planet, get us to understand the stakes of the mission, and then we just get a really kick-ass heist in the sixth episode that is built up because they took the time. And then even with like the prison break in, what was it, episode 9 or
I think
10?
I think so because like it was almost like done in 3 episode story structures where there's like build up, and then like the climatic closure of that specific storyline. Then there was a heist, then it was a prison. Yeah, that wouldn't have been as well done if you didn't care about it. It's like horror movies when there's a monster. It's like you're not gonna care if you don't care about the characters because when they're in danger, you're not gonna care. We care about the characters here, and I think you're right. That's what makes it so good when stuff does happen, when shit hits the fan, so to speak. It's gonna not only be great, but it's gonna be intense. It's gonna be entertaining. It's gonna be sad. It's gonna be action packed, all because we care about the story and the characters. Absolutely, absolutely. Because even the later seasons of Walking Dead, you have a lot of action, but do you care about the new characters as much? I mean, there's like zombie overload. I'm like, sometimes less is more. Sometimes less is actually more. And yeah, I disagree with them about like no zombies or anything. I'm like, there's plenty of other threats. I mean, there still is a threat here. We're introduced to a new human threat. There's
Yeah.
more to survive than just infected monsters in this apocalypse. So I would have to disagree with that political figure's opinion on that. I'm like, okay, just wait. Okay, maybe we'll see how season 1 is. Then we can talk about Infected, or if they go off the rails, which I don't think they will, uh, based on the game. What's up?
Ziggy, if I think I may recognize that dog, but I don't recognize you by username.
But yeah, like I think they're gonna. I think the story is just done so well lately that I mean, this episode had a lot of action as is, but I definitely think for people who are worried about whether or not they're going to be infected, we're about to get it. I think we're going to get it this Friday, as a matter of fact. Like honestly, I think this was just a bridge for what's to come. And again, if it follows the game, we're going to be getting a bunch of like infected monsters and stuff. But I also think that that kind of defeats the whole purpose of Last of Us, you know. And I'm glad, because any other video game adaptation would have pulled a Resident Evil, you know, just have monsters in action and stuff you see in the game, but they missed the whole point and the whole essence of what made the video games, the story and characters. And that's
I
one thing I
think
love about
that
The Last of Us.
that yeah, I think that with the action, it's like you could definitely tell that the getting a director from The Punisher was definitely a good call.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because you have like that whole, well, we just talked about it, the laundromat, that whole shootout and fight, Joel being strangled, but then also like there's such this like, I don't know, there's this uneasiness and like the feeling. You just feel tense. Like I feel like the shoe's about to drop, you know? I just felt kind of tense this whole episode. And we didn't get to that quite yet, but I think it is really building up to the confrontation they're not only going to have with the infected, but with these new group of individuals in Kansas City. And yeah, we then get to like them. They pretty much were almost searching all day into the night, and we get Joel to like lift Ellie up and break into this building, I think. And I love that scene. It reminded me of Ghostbusters. I don't know why, with like them going up the floors, but I love it where he's just like, "Give me a breather." He's like, "Get up, you lazy ass." And he's like, "I'm not a lazy ass. I'm 56 years old, you little shit." I just love that banter between Joel and Ellie there. It's just like that's such a Joel thing to say to Ellie. Like it really is.
Nah,
Like they got so many great moments in this episode.
I hope I look as good as Joel does at 56.
I know. Some people who played Last of Us 2 are like, "Oh, wait, that's the age he was in Last of Us Part 2. What's gonna happen?" I'm hoping it's maybe in season two's premiere, but what if they pull like a Ned Stark at the end of this and just go ahead and adapt the beginning of Last of Us 2 at the end? I don't
Oh
know.
man,
Just leave
that would
audiences
be
hanging. That would be a crazy ending. I'm not gonna put that idea in anyone's heads. I think they should save that for 2, but like yeah, there's just great scenes there. And they really set up the kind of like enigma of Henry and Sam, you know? Like we know because we played the game, but like they really set them up for their brief introduction later. But I love the pun book and the scene where they have to hide out in the office and use kind of like these like what is it, like leather couch cushions as like like a mattress. And he's like breaking the glass in case anybody comes in. It's like, what if you don't hear it, you know? I just love that banter with the diarrhea joke in the pun book of like, diarrhea is like hereditary. It runs through your genes or something. I don't know. I paraphrase here, but like, it was so stupid, but I just laughed. But it also almost made me tear up because you could tell Joel doesn't want to get close. You know, you've been seeing little hints of it throughout the episodes, but this is one where he just couldn't help but laugh. But it's just kind of sad because you can see he's trying not to get close. He's trying not to laugh. He's trying to have this image, and that's just a little bit sad knowing his backstory. And then ultimately knowing what they're going to have to go through in the rest of the story. That was such a beautiful scene. And I don't try to remember if the villains were shown one more time or not. I think we
no.
just get
I
to
don't
Henry and
think
Sam
so.
when they said, "Joel, wake up, Joel," and then you just see them with like Sam and Henry there, and then they have the firearms at his face, and that's where it ends. And I was like, I can't believe it ended there. I
Oh
want to see
no.
more. I wanted to
I,
see more.
mm, yeah, and this is definitely this was the shortest episode so far, and a part of me was disappointed, but at the same time, I just know that next week, based off that little trailer we got and seeing like and knowing they set up the bloater and where the game goes, uh, this is definitely going to be an action-packed one next week.
Oh yeah, I totally think so. Like I remember, I enjoyed the episode, but I was like, why did it end there? And I was about to go like on social media. I can't believe I have to wait a week. And then that's when I saw that they were releasing it early Friday because of the Super Bowl. I was like, oh yes, I don't have to wait a week, almost, but like just till Friday. I was like, I can deal with that. I can deal with that. Do you have anybody else in the chat?
Nope. And pretty much I think we pretty much covered the entire uh, episode. Is there anything else that you noticed?
I'm trying to remember. I love. There's been videos IGN has had it the side by side comparisons to the game. I love like the traveling, like we talked about earlier, but even the Kansas City portions that was done so well. And I'm trying to think of other things I've noticed.
There's one thing that I forgot to mention. How like at the beginning of the episode when uh, Ellie is trying to talk to Joel while he's attempting to sleep. At the end, it's Joel that starts the conversation about the joke.
That's right. Yes. That was a nice full circle moment there from beginning to end. And again, like kind of shows like how Joel's slowly kind of opening up, like she's getting through that armor, you know. And yeah, I also noticed that I don't mind it at this point because I just want the story to continue, but like they didn't have like a flashback episode. That was only like in the first two like a flashback sequence. That was like the cold opens, basically. Those are only in the first two, and I don't know. I like it personally. I would have loved a cold open for every episode, but I'm like, I kind of like this because now you got the cold open, you got the world and characters established. Let's just continue these stories. And I'm curious to see if we're gonna get any like Henry and Sam flashback portions, like Bill and Frank. If any of the other characters are gonna have their stories expanded upon in the same way, it'd be fascinating to see.
I could definitely. I mean, I predict that we might get one flashback of uh,
I don't know if we're gonna get a whole
Henry and
episode
Sam.
though. Yeah, I
No,
don't because of timing. That's one thing I'm trying to like think about. Like, how are they going to adapt the rest of the game? I think they'll have enough time, but like
yeah.
those episodes are going to go by pretty fast. If
Uh,
like it's all Last of Us Part One, I think. Yeah.
I got a feeling that we're definitely gonna get an entire bottle episode about Abby's backstory in season two.
Yes. Absolutely. I can see them definitely doing like getting those flashback portions of the video game and then just making that like entire like those entire sequences like one episode. You know, I could definitely see that. It would be interesting to see. So far, I mean, we can nitpick certain stuff, but I think that'd be going too far. I mean, how many video game adaptations are this good? Like seriously, like we're
The-
blessed to have it this good and follow the game like frame by frame in certain parts. Like that doesn't happen very often, and I feel like I don't know. We're just not too much used to a good thing as far as video game adaptations. I mean, there's good, entertaining video game adaptations, but I mean, like a straight up adaptation that's just like they got this portion of the video game and then just did that on live action. And I respect the changes even more now. I'm like, as long as the creators have the core concept and understand what the story is about thematically, no matter how much they deviate, I still think if they remain true to what makes the story, the video game, and the characters, I think it'd be a home run. So far, I mean, we'll have to see what else comes out on TV, but this has been my favorite show of the year so far for 2023. Like, that's all I have to say about that on Last of Us.
yeah.
like there's some like okay, timing wise, I was like, I wish last week was more action packed, but like it's still a great show. I'm not gonna be like those people that are like, it's slow, I'm gonna stop watching. I'm like, no, guys. Plus, I think I really want to rewatch these episodes when it's not weekly. Like again, as I said earlier, I think binging this show would be so good just on one weekend. Just pick a Saturday just to binge watch Last of Us from start to finish. It'd be like a 10 to 11 hour movie. And I mean, the showrunner's done it with Chernobyl. You know, HBO's done it with so many other shows. There's just a level of quality here that I'm so happy that the feature film did not work out, or like Netflix or anybody else or AMC got Last of Us, like they were able to have it on HBO.
I just know that if AMC got it, they'd just go cheap, and then Netflix, it would just be 50-50.
Yeah, it might start like The Witcher, where they were kind of like accurate for a while, and then they just go off the rails. Where here, it's like short enough as well, where you know the budget's going to go into it, but you know that HBO is going to have the maturity for like this story. But then, you know, HBO is also not afraid to do some changes either. And I have to respect that. Like, as a gamer, like it's weird. I'm fascinated to see how like non-gamers, I think non-gamers are enjoying the hell out of this show, honestly. I think gamers are too. The gamers that actually understand The Last of Us, you know what I mean? Um, I'm just curious to see, like, I don't know, I kind of envy people who have never played or have seen The Last of Us, like viewing this story, experiencing this story for the very first time. Just like, wow, what does that feel like? And I love that. I love that they're still able to make people who don't play video games experience that story, because it is a timeless story. Like, no matter what medium it is, if it's told right, it's still going to be a strong, timeless story.
Yeah, and it's also just like uh we don't it's like people are really enjoying the show because like viewership is just going up
That's
and
another
up.
thing. I predict that it might be 10 million at least by the finale, maybe even sooner. It was up, what, another 17%, like 7.4 million, I think, around there. I might be wrong.
Yeah,
And it
I got a
was,
feeling that the Oscars is gonna have to move their ceremony up
yeah,
one. Like they're gonna have to have it the next week because I think The Last of Us is really gonna crush it.
it has been building up and building up. And I think HBO also had like a free preview weekend, and they usually don't have those very often. Like, they know like people are watching the show and they're like, oh, wait, what? It's going up. And it's like 5 million, 6 million, 7 million. I think this is going to continue to go up. And that's also a testament to how well written this show is, you know? Like, when there's a story that's told in a great way, people are going to follow. You don't have to like market it for toys or do this and that. Just tell a great story. People will follow. People who actually care about these characters and aren't projecting their outside politics, they're going to follow this show from beginning to end. And I'm deservedly so. It deserves to be 7 million, if not more. But yeah, definitely. Like, I cannot wait to see how this thing's going to explode on the finale, because I think it's like a snowball effect right now. I think it's going to keep going and going and going and going until like the end. And then who knows? Even season 2 might be even bigger, because like season 1, through like the viewership this year and word of mouth, they're like, okay, let's check it out, and then it might even be a bigger season. Who knows? I
Yeah,
just hope that they hold up their promise and don't pull a Game of Thrones, like adapt the source material, but don't go any further. You can expand on it, that's fine, but like don't continue past the source material. Unless there's like a Last of Us 3. I don't know. I could definitely see like the success of this show possibly bringing a Last of Us Part 3 in the video game. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see if like the video game developers and the writer of like are interested in like continuing the story due to like the success of the HBO show.
yeah, I got a feeling we're gonna be getting a Last of Us 3 uh in a few years at least.
Wonder if they would add I haven't played all of 2 yet, but I wonder if they would add like the fungus like in the vines and stuff when you step on something and all these infected just start coming towards you. That would be crazy.
Yeah,
Because in
they
the
should
video game they have
really
like the spores and you have to wear a mask, but
consider it.
that would be nuts. You stepped on this. It's a stealth mission. Now you're gonna have like a whole horde of infected coming your way. They know your exact location, move. Like, that would be a crazy a feature to add in a video game. But yeah, I absolutely love this show so far, and again, like I know last week I was like, I wanted more Joel and Ellie, but I'm like, you know what? In retrospect, I can see them how they fit in that story with Joel, and I think people are really going to enjoy the story once it's completed. I certainly believe that. I think I'm going to enjoy it more on a second viewing once I get to watch these episodes again, not have to wait weekly when we have to watch them like
Yeah.
straight through. And it also is a time too, because it's like I'm glad this was like a faster one, but like I may have to start watching these on Monday because sometimes I feel like really tired after a long week. So I was just like, I'm just gonna have like a fresh mind and watch this. But like, it's been a while since I've had like a really good HBO show to watch. Like on Sunday, like I'm actually looking forward to watching. You know what I mean? Like there's sometimes there's TV shows and you're like, okay, I guess it's on, I'll watch it, but like not one that I'm like I'm waiting all week just to see this one show. It's been a
I've
long time.
I've been trying to fill the void that House of the Dragon left me.
I guess it's like reading a great novel. It's like once you read a whole series, you kind of go through a drawl, you know, where you're just like, I need to find
Yeah.
something that supplements this desire, the feeling that this series gave me. I need something to feed my fix, so to speak. I need my fix. And yeah, very rare, especially in the first season. I mean, there's been some great first seasons, but like 4 episodes so far, and it's still pretty amazing. I cannot wait to see how the rest of the episodes are going to turn out in this world. And I already said this last week with Murray Bartlett and Nick Offerman's performances about Emmys, but I'm like, just give this show all the Emmys, all the awards, set design, score, just everything. This is great. I don't know. This is my thoughts on that. How do you feel so far?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I just absolutely love the show and how everything just feels so rich, and when action scenes actually happen, you like feel the stakes, and it's it's refreshing after what feels like an entire year of just Disney Plus schlock, and then and or slipping through the cracks, and then having House of the Dragon. But like, and we did have Stranger Things and The Boys, but like, you last year was just a pretty disappointing year in terms of a lot of my most anticipated shows like Moon Knight and Obi-Wan and Book of Boba Fett. But like,
Yeah,
it just feels so refreshing to get a show with such rich storytelling, and doesn't feel like it's going for the lowest common denominator.
absolutely. The other ones just went for the lowest common denominator, and I don't know if it's just the Disney Plus shows that always like it was building towards something more and more and more, but there was like never a payoff. Where here on this, there's definitely been payoffs individually within the episodes, but I think for this whole story that they're adapting from the first game, I think it's going to have a very worthy payoff, to say the least. And yeah, I'm with you there on the shows because like it's been a while since there's been anything that I was looking forward to IP wise, but also something new that hasn't been adapted before. Like a lot of the good stuff last year was stuff that was already like a sequel or another season of a show established before, you know. So as far as like new material, I'm like this is pretty awesome. It's been a
Yeah.
while. And we talked about this earlier in one of the streams, but like we had that horrible Resident Evil show on Netflix, and like CW Resident Evil, and I'm so happy we did not get CW Last of Us. Like I could only imagine it'd be like that Gotham Knights show that's coming out or something. I
Oh
don't know.
God.
Like, could you imagine that? Like, I'm like, this is a good timeline. Like, hey guys, be thankful that they did make deviations and it still ended up that good. Believe me, it can be a hell of a lot worse. I don't know why everybody's complaining.
Yeah.
I'm just like, okay. Yeah, I am so looking forward to the next episode. And I hope I think they will have enough time to finish everything. I'm trying to gauge it based on how they're gonna finish the rest of the story. But yeah, just give the show everything. And for people who haven't checked out The Last of Us, definitely watch the show. And if you love the show, play the video games. Like both, you can like both of them. You don't have to like one or the other. I think they both are pretty much like the same story done in different ways, but thematically they're the same.
I apologize if we've spoiled it for you, though.
Oh yeah, sorry. I meant that Abby actually plays golf with Joel. I meant it, okay? That's all I meant. She just plays golf with Joel, okay?
And I believe that is where we're gonna end it. So, where can they find you at?
Y'all can find me at Frederick Lopez on YouTube, as well as Fred Film Fanatic on Instagram. A lot of movie posts there.
Thank you guys so much as always for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.